Our mountains, they all have a story. All of the major landmarks, they're all there for a reason and they all have a story. My clans are Kinyaani Nishle, Kitlinchini Bashichin, Nakaidene Deshache, and Honagatni Deshanale. And I come from a community that is called Chacholta, New Mexico. So we're up in the mountains and it's a really beautiful place to be from. I may be a little bit biased when I say this, but New Mexico, the Four Quarters, is such a beautiful area. There's so much stories to tell. We just were really privileged to live in such a place where it has so much culture. I mean, it's not just Navajo, Diné people. We have our Zuni relatives. We have so many different indigenous people here. We have relatives from the north and from the south, and a lot of tribes that are represented here in Gallup. We're the so-called Indian capital of the world. All indigenous people, we all face so much trauma, historical trauma. So much has been taken away from us. Not just only our land, but our language, our culture, our history, our oral histories, our songs and our ceremonies. There's so many things that we're unable to practice today, or we may have lost those stories along the way of colonization. And for the past 500 years, I always say this to any Diné woman or any indigenous woman, I tell them that we're like diamonds. we're like the salt of the earth, because for so long we've been a threat to colonization. They fear us, they want to destroy our people. Destroy our women, destroy our children, take away our kids, and murder and our women, and take away everything. But yet, we're still here. We're still having babies. We're still having healthy babies. Our families are so strong. And I feel like with anything that comes and attacks our community, whatever it is, we become stronger and we unite. Every single time. All people across the world have suffered. It's a traumatic experience, but at the same time, literally everyone together, we're experiencing this at some level of COVID, and change has to come from that. We have to be that phoenix after this and rise from this and make something of this. And I feel like as Indigenous people, we always do. We always have been those monster slayers. Whether it's in our traditional stories and our oral histories where these monsters were killing our people, and we had our monster slayers that were taking down these monsters, and they're laying down in these hills. And those are our stories. And these monsters, they may come back to life again. They may take form in different things. And some of these things, our modern day monsters, are things like extraction industry with coal and uranium, and fossil fuel industry, and greed and sickness and disease. All of these things are foreign to us. We've never had so much sickness in our communities before colonization. It was only maybe the 1960s we had our first case of lung disease. And we linked that back to uranium. And these are monsters that are slowly coming out from the ground and destroying our way of life. And this is another monster that we're gonna have to take down, is this pandemic, is this COVID. It's stories that give us strength through these times, and it's those things we look back at as monster slayers. Like, we've done this before. We know what songs to sing. We know what to do. This is not our first pandemic. 1920s, we went through this. We had medicine people doing ceremonies and conducting ceremonies and trying to pinpoint and how to get rid of the Spanish flu. And that's here in our community, here in Navajo. Our medicine people were doing those things, trying to use prayer and herbs and ceremony to get rid of these monsters. And those teachings we still do, and we will continue to do for millennia. And these are the things that have given us strength and guidance, knowing that our ancestors did it and we can do the same.